Hey, good morning, girls. Happy day before Thanksgiving. Hope you've got your birds out and they're thawing. Otherwise, you may not be having turkey tomorrow. So, hope you're doing well. We're giving thanks to God today because I just heard on the news that Tennessee is going to get some rain. So, we're grateful for that. It'll extinguish out those fires. We're just praying for North Carolina to get a little rain as well so that the fires here can be put out um, before any other structures are lost. So, good morning. It's a good day when you wake up and it's 30 degrees and it's overcast. And I mean, if we got rain right now, we'd actually have snow. That'd be really cool, huh? As long as I'm staying home and not driving in it. So, good morning. Today's topic, because of the holidays, I picked breathe. Because it's something that we need to make sure we're doing each day, and pausing and reflecting and calming down. And I found a really great book that has 5 questions for you to ask yourself before you add something else to your list. So first, let's go to the Word because we always want to start with what God has to say. So we're taking a look today at Psalm chapter 1, verses 1 to 3. Blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked, or stand in the way that sinners take, or sit in the company of mockers, but whose delight is in the law of the Lord, and who meditates on his law day and night. That person is like a tree planted by the streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever they do prospers. And you're like, what does that have to do with breathing? I get that. But here's the deal. In this verse, or 3 verses, it talks about a person is like a tree planted by the streams of water. They yield a fruit in the season. They do not lose, their leaves do not wither, and whatever they do prospers. How does that all happen? And I know in times of chaos and crazy, you can be sitting there going, okay, and how is that possible? How that is possible, girls, is because we go back and we spend that time with Jesus. And I know I've been talking a lot about that this week, but it's really crucial that as we head into the chaos that becomes the holidays, because we think we have to do it all, we've got it under control, and I don't need your help. Now, I don't know if any of you have said that before, where family, your husband, or somebody comes up and says, hey, can I help you with that? No, I got it. I got it. As you're sitting there and you're just tightening up and you're stressing out and you're getting upset and you're not being a very nice person. People are talking to you and you're being short with them. You're not smiling with people and you're just growling. Somebody might have thought you were a big old grizzly bear. But the thing is that if we can stop and rest and breathe, and the scripture from yesterday, we talked about how Jesus wants us to lay in the green pastures and set aside a refreshing brook, the renewing waters. But see, girls, we get so busy with the stuff on our list that we're not renewing ourselves. We are just assuming that our bodies will keep going, that our minds will keep going, and that we don't need to slow down. And girls, we do need to slow down. See, we're just like the car. You fill your car up with gas. It'll go, mine goes 500 miles. I get really good mileage out here, 500 miles. But if I hit 499, my car is going to start yelling at me. It's going to start saying, hey, you, stop the car, put some go-go juice in me, and let's keep going. If I refuse, the car will stop. In the road, wherever it is not going to look for a safe place. It is going to stop. So what are you doing with yourself and your list? Are you creating these lists that our Superwoman probably couldn't even handle? Are we not stopping to breathe? And this is something I really teach in the Thrive Workshop, is I teach you that we've got to stop and breathe. And you're like, okay, I breathe every day, I'm good. No. Do you take deep breaths, fully extending your lungs? Do you breathe in deep through your nose and blow it out and just calm down? And I guarantee if you start doing this, you can see your blood pressure drop, your stress levels are gone, your focus is clearer, you feel better, you're not as tired. I mean, we can go on and on. It's as simple as breathing, which we have as women of God taken for granted, as God has gifted us each day with the gift of breath. So we don't slow down. We don't pause and spend that time with the Lord. And that seems to be it coming to mind now that we pretty much said that all week, that we need to stop. Apparently God is trying to quicken us and pay attention, because that's been just a burden on my heart for y'all this week. And I know how the holidays get. Oh, girls, I know. My poor husband last night tried to say he could help and do this and that. And what did I say to him? No, honey, I got it. You go to work tomorrow. I'll take care of what I got to do. Now, I still have a business to run. I still have clients to take care of. I still have my obligations as a business owner. And my husband has his obligations with his position. So there is nothing wrong with him stepping up and saying, let me help you. Except for Robin got in the way. See, Robin's trying to be the superhero. I'm trying to be Superwoman. I've got my cuffs on, and I'm battling and defending, right? The only problem is my superhero cape is still in the washer. I can't do it all alone. I can't do it if I don't stop and pause. I know you're busy. Trust me, I know. And if you've got little ones in the house, I know you're busy. Excuse me. But we have to stop. We have to pause. Give me 1 second. Okay, something's triggered my sinuses this morning. But we have to stop and breathe, girls. We cannot keep going on empty. You have to take care of yourself. And the holidays are the biggest time in our life that a couple of dynamics happen. Number one, we try to do it all on our own. Number two, we find ourselves so busy that we don't spend time with God. If we spend time with God, it's an afterthought. It's because we're in panic. It's because we're emotional. It's because we're upset. Oh, girls, it's so much easier if we just stop and start the day with Him. Because, see, every time we go to God, it shouldn't be about us whining and complaining. We need to start going to God and giving Him praise, showing gratitude for what He's done. And I'm going to go back to where I stand firm. If you get up in the morning, and sometimes people get up and they say, like, there's nothing to be grateful for. Oh, you are so wrong. See, the problem is we've been taught in this world to keep up with everybody else. We've been taught that these things, that we don't need to be content where we are. We need to always want more and want the better and want the greater. And we're missing our basic essentials, girls. You cannot thrive as a woman of God if you do not have your basic essentials in your priorities. Those basic essentials include waking up and finding that time at the beginning of your day for Jesus. I don't care where you do it, and I know you've heard me say this to you many times. I don't care where you do it, neither does He. You shouldn't care what I think. You need to care what He thinks. You cannot build a relationship with someone, girls, if you're not spending time with them. You should not be looking at Jesus as fire insurance. And that's what we do. We get so busy in our lives that spending time at the foot of the Lord becomes an afterthought. And girls, that's no way to build a relationship. Jesus doesn't see us as an afterthought. Jesus looks at you and looks at me as a precious, beautiful daughter that he loves and adores. And yet, what do we do with that? We get so busy, we get so caught up in everything that we forget how much he loves us, how much he sacrificed for you and I. If we remembered every morning the price that was paid for us, we would find that time. We would make sure that we are up 5 minutes earlier. Excuse me, that we spend. Honestly, when I was in corporate world, I would take my time in the shower and getting ready was my time that I could have peace and quiet with God. Because I wasn't a morning person. I still am not. I don't get up before the sun comes up. I just don't. My body functions happier if I wake up with the sun. Which means sometimes it's not as early as other times. And when I was having a job I had to go to, I had to make sure I had time. And I knew that time was safe. Because that time there was no distractions. There was no phone. There was no internet. There was no TV. It was just me and God. And I spent the time. Today it's a different world. I'm in a different place. I have the time. I can say I'm not coming in for my clients into the office until I spend my time with God. Excuse me. Each of you are going to identify your time differently. Maybe your time is you get up in the morning and you have a long commute. So you can spend your time worshiping and listening to God. Listening to some teaching on a radio station or in a CD. But you make it that priority. I know when I was in corporate, I made that priority at my lunch break as well. And I had to because corporate America was horrible. Those people were mean, they were nasty, and they would walk on whoever it took to get what they wanted. So it might be different in your workspace than it was in mine. I was in aerospace, and so it's very cutthroat in there. And they weren't playing very nice. And I'd watch the management I supported take my ideas, tell me how stupid I was, and then turn around in other management meetings. And I always worked for the VPs and the presidents. Then they go with their other presidents of different divisions. And I'd be in there taking notes for the meeting. And next thing I know, he's presenting my ideas as his own. I had to take a break and walk away because I would have went off. My flesh was definitely stronger than my spirit in those moments. But I had to learn to stop and breathe. I had to learn to stop and pray. I had to learn and stop and listen. The holidays are here. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving. It is going to be crazy. You're going to be cooking, you're going to be cleaning, you're going to have family coming and going. But then it just keeps going because we're in the holiday season. The next thing coming up is Christmas, and then you got New Year's. Where is God in the middle of all of this? Are you stopping to breathe and take care of yourself? Or are you in constant nonstop, I gotta go now? We have to back up and we have to pause. We have to find ourselves by those still waters being refreshed. We have to lay down in those green pastures and rest. We have to be that tree that's planted by the stream of the water so that we don't wither. That water is the living water that is Jesus Christ. We have to take that into our lives because we can't do this alone. And I challenge you today to really think about where and when and how are you spending time with God? How are you refreshing? How are you renewing? Or are you just hoping and praying you make it through the day? Stop and breathe. Johnny Diaz has a song called Breathe. I want you to check it on YouTube. Johnny Diaz, D-I-A-Z, and it's called Breathe. I want you to listen to the words to that. Excuse me. Because it really, to the T, spells out who we are today. So pull that up in YouTube and listen to that. Now here's something. I found this today, and it was in a devotion, and it's by Liz Higgs. And her book title is, Only Angels Can Wing It. And what she's talking about is how we get so busy in our life and in our day that we just kind of, whatever happens, happens. And we add more to our list, and we do more, and we're constantly going. And then we wonder why at the end of the day we're in so much overwhelm. We've not spent time with God. We've not stopped to breathe. We haven't stopped to rest. We are not taking care of ourselves. Maybe we're not drinking the water. Maybe we're not eating the meals. I don't know what your thing is that happens in the day, but we get so busy adding things to this list to take care of everybody else that we, in the end, can no longer care for somebody else. So here's her questions, and I love this. Again, the book, it's Liz, L-I-Z, Higgs, H-I-G-G-S, and her book is Only Angels Can Wing It. So here's your questions, and these are priceless, and I'm going to start doing these now because I realize even though I'm pretty good at doing my priorities during the day, I sometimes take on things that I shouldn't be doing just because I feel guilty. I feel like I need to do it to make somebody else happy, when possibly it could be done tomorrow and probably done better than it was done today. So here's our questions. Ready? Will this activity matter 1 week from today, 1 month, or 1 year? How much stuff are you putting on your list that it's not going to matter in a week? Is there someone who does this task better than I do, to whom I might delegate it? Oh, that's a brilliant question. I have client work, and sometimes it's web related, so maybe they need a great landing page. I can write the copy, I visually can see it, but it takes me longer to create the technical side. So I have a member on my team that I can say, hey, Dennis, here's the copy, here's the images, go create it. And he can get it done in an hour that would have taken me 3. Okay? Does it satisfy a heart need for me or someone I love very much? So are we doing things just to do things? What is on your list for today? Are you doing things just to fill up time? Are you doing things because you feel you have to, you feel you're obligated? And I love question 4. Oh, I love question 4. What are the ramifications if I don't do it? Most of the time, girls, the ramifications of if I don't do it is it takes another day to get it done. It's not life and death. It's not something that's critical that has to be done. Sometimes we're just busy, and it can wait. And the last question to ask you, what are the outcomes if I do it? Brilliant question. Because that's what we need to be looking at, is when we look at all of this stuff, and especially during the holidays, when we're trying to prioritize our days, what are the ramifications if I don't do it? What are the outcomes if I do? And I know this may seem overwhelming to some of you and be kind of like, that's a lot of questions to ask myself over this list of 30 things. It is a lot of questions. However, that list of 30 things is not a possibility. Okay? You can have a big old list of all kinds of stuff on it. Is it possible to complete it all in one day? No. Is it worth the stress of knowing that I can't complete it all, but I'm going to leave it there anyhow because I'm going to push myself to the limit? Is it worth that? Keep in mind, girls, that when we push ourselves to the point of emotional exhaustion, emotional overwhelm, we also hit the points of mental exhaustion, mental overwhelm, and physically too. We become of no use to somebody we may need to take care of. You're going to find that those lists may not get tackled. See, because if we want to eat the elephant and we shove that whole elephant in our mouth, we will choke. It is not going to work. But if we eat the elephant one bite at a time, it is attainable. And I don't know why we use the term eat an elephant. Who is going to eat an elephant? I don't know. I think it's just because it's a big old mammal. That's why we use it in that saying. I don't know. That one I haven't figured out. I'd eat a cow, okay, because we're going to have steak, right? So maybe it's a cow. How do you eat a cow? One bite or bite-sized pieces? So anyhow, that's all non-relevant. But really, seriously, girls, you've got to stop. You've got to breathe. You've got to refresh yourself. Because if you don't, you are going to cause mental and physical issues for yourself. You're going to have a breakdown. You're going to go into depression. You're going to get sick. You're going to physically not be able to do it all and be paralyzed. And I challenge you, paralyzed meaning you can't move forward. Okay, I need to really clarify that. But really, it's simple. If we spend time with Jesus, we stop and we breathe, and we listen. Allow Jesus to refresh us and renew us by the living water. You will be amazed at how much your day becomes something that you celebrate at the end. You look back on your day and you're going, oh, I accomplished and achieved so much more than I ever could have. And I feel good. I'm not exhausted. I'm not drained. How are you going to tackle your list today? Breathe. Stop and breathe. Refresh by the living water. Lay down in those green pastures. And be that tree out of Psalms 1:1-3 that is planted by the streams of water, that yields fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither, and whatever you do will prosper. So I hope that helps you get through tomorrow, and I hope that you and your family just have an amazing Thanksgiving, totally blessed, and celebrating what God has done in your life. Celebrating putting your feet on the floor and having a kitchen to cook the dinner in. Having family to meet. Celebrate it. Because it's worth celebrating. Don't forget, take a look at Johnny Diaz, D-I-A-Z, on YouTube. Look at Breathe. It's just called Breathe. And listen to that song. And remember, stop and breathe. Deep breaths through your nose and out your mouth. Do 3 of them and hold them for 5 seconds. And you will find that everything becomes refreshed. All right? So I hope that helps you. Enjoy tomorrow. I may pop in and say hi to everybody, but I'm not really sure yet. So if I don't, happy Thanksgiving. Have a blessed day. And I love y'all. Bye.